What is up, guys? It is Sir Moonlad, and welcome to this video review of the First Berserker Khazan. Again, this is a series I like to do to talk about kind of the reasons as to either why I did or did not finish a game. And I just died. That's fine. Now, the First Berserker Khazan is a very good game. I'm going to preface this video by first saying that. But there are reasons sort of in our busy adult day-to-day lives, right, that sort of prevent us from going back to a specific game, even if that game isn't necessarily a bad game. And so in this video series, I like to kind of talk about the reasons as to why I chose not to continue playing or attempt to beat this game. For all of the games that I play in these series, I play at least 10 hours. Okay, so this is a game that I've had on my backlog now since it came out. I saw a lot of streamers playing it. A lot of people reviewed it. It got great reviews kind of across the board. And overall, it looked fantastic. And so I've wanted to check it out for a long, long time, and I've finally been able to get around to play it. But ultimately, as the title entails, and as I've kind of alluded to, I decided not to finish the First Berserker Khazan for a couple of reasons, and we're going to go into those reasons. But first, I kind of want to talk about what I really liked about this game, okay? And the thing is this. I love Souls games, right? I first played Demon Souls when I was a kid. I played Dark Souls, right? And then I played Sekiro. I've played other Souls-like games like Lies of P. I've tried the series. I've been throughout all of them. Okay, and I've beaten all of the other Souls-like games, I should say. So I'm pretty experienced when it comes to, I think, playing this sort of genre of game, and so it might come as a surprise to some people, right? When you play a game as well crafted as the First Berserker Khazan, to hear them enjoy this genre of game, but yet not want to finish it. So whenever I play a Souls-like game, I have a specific number of expectations. Okay, and the first expectation is the difficulty level. Now, here, the First Berserker Khazan, it is a difficult game, right? You've already seen me die on screen now a couple of times. The difficulty level is there. So if you are somebody that enjoys being challenged, you enjoy the challenging combat in Souls games, you're going to love this game. The combat itself is punchy, it's responsive, it's fun, right? The combos that you can pull off are fun, right? The enemies that you encounter, the variety is fun, right? They have very challenging, combat mechanics. Ultimately, you are gonna get challenged in this game. You're gonna die in this game, and that's kind of the whole point, right? I think that the variety that First Berserker Khazan brings, like you'll see right now, the javelins in this game it's so cool. It's so fun. You can choose from from 3 different types of weapons. It's a dual wield, a great sword, and a spear. They each level and scale with a specific stat, right? And it's overall the combat and the difficulty extremely responsive, extremely fun. Okay, no qualms there. So that expectation with the Souls game is met. The next expectation is kind of the environmental design. This is a beautiful game, okay? It's not real-to-life graphics, right? You kind of have that like Borderlands washed out anime character look, but ultimately it works here, and I think that it works here really, really well. And I think that's kind of why I never had any performance issues whatsoever, which is another really important aspect of these types of games, because the worst thing is getting a frame drop in the middle of a really difficult battle and then messing up a dodge or a parry and then dying, and you're like, well, that sucks, right? So that never happened to me once while I was playing this game. Reasons why I didn't choose to complete this game were kind of as such. So first of all, the level design. So the level design in the Souls game is unmatchable, right? It's so good. It's an open world kind of design. It's not open world necessarily, but it's this Metroidvania puzzle-like, game where you like open up new areas, and then there are these areas that you can you can go into at this level, but not at this level because the enemies are too hard, and you can level up your character and then come back later, maybe when you have a different weapon. It's so intuitive. It's so well constructed. And here in First Berserker Khazan, it's not like that, man. The levels are good for what they are, but what you have here is ultimately a bunch of hub worlds, linear hub worlds that you spawn into. You start at one end, and then you fight through a bunch of difficult enemies, and then you end the linear level with a boss fight. And that's kind of how it goes here. And I would say that is one of this game's weakest components, is its level design, okay? Now, I'm not saying it's bad necessarily. The levels are well crafted. They're beautiful, okay? There's difficult sort of environmental challenges that are factored in here. I'm not saying that, but in terms of meeting my expectations as a Souls game, right? It just doesn't hit right, and that's ultimately, I think, a developer decision, or an artistic decision. And I think what they were going for here was focusing more on the really good combat, and they nailed that for sure. Because as you can see, like, it's super responsive, it's super cool. The animations are so fun to kind of just go through over and over, and so I think that's one of the disappointing things about this game. Another disappointing thing about the game, I think, is the story. It's not that the story, I think, is bad per se, right? It's a good premise. It's basically a revenge plot, right? And then you have, the Khazan, who's this great warrior, and he is basically just inhabited by this phantom from the netherworld. And they have to kind of come to this agreement where it's like, hey, I'll help you if you help me. And so Khazan is on a mission to exact revenge, and the Phantom is on another mission to try and help the Netherworld. And so they're working together, and that's kind of how it goes. So I think it's a great premise. What I'll say is this. A lot of the expectations I have when it comes to Souls games is that the story is esoteric enough where the environment has to tell a lot of what is happening. And what that does is it forces the player to interact with things like items or notes or things, etc., in a way that curates greater and greater desires to go forward in the story. And that's kind of like what Attack on Titan does. If you've ever seen Attack on Titan, it's like there's always more questions than answers, okay? And that's why those shows are so addicting. That's why you want to finish that show. Okay, same thing with Game of Thrones, right? Why do you want to finish Game of Thrones? Well, you want to know how this resolves, okay? Now, one of the things with First Berserker Khazan is that the story is just kind of like, it's just there. Right? It's like, well, I'm going through all of this difficult stuff. I'm killing all of these difficult bosses. I'm starting from point A, going to point B, fighting a boss, and I'm rinsing and repeating. And that's kind of it, right? And the motivation is always there. Yes, okay, cool. I gotta go beat this guy, whatever. I gotta go exact my revenge, etc. But it never forces you to engage with the world outside of the dialogue and the exposition, which is just kind of there. So for me, what this game is not a game I want to finish, but a game I want to interact with if I want to have a difficult, challenging, sit-down experience where I get to test my abilities in kind of a good combat simulator. And ultimately, that's why I didn't finish it, because there's nothing here for me to motivate me to go further, okay? If you like this type of game, like if this is the only thing you love to do, then this is, like, the combat is so sick. It's so fucking sick, dude. You're gonna love it. But it just doesn't scratch the itch that I want it to scratch for me to continue being motivated to play it. And ultimately, that's why I didn't finish it, Some people will get mad at me, right? I'll be like, hey, you only played this amount of time? Well, did you really even play the game? I would say if you don't, if you don't have the expectation of finishing a game after 10 hours of playing it, I would say it's probably not a game worth your time. And that's a different bar set for every individual. But for me specifically, somebody that finds the story to be a very compelling reason to finish these games, right? There has to be something that I'm struggling for, trying to face all of these difficult bosses, right? There has to be something that I want to discover in order for me to deal with the fact that I have to suffer through all of this difficult slog, right? Because if you think about it, that's kind of what Souls games are. They're difficult slogs through well-crafted environments to figure out what the hell is going on. And ultimately, in First Berserker Khazan, you kind of already know a little bit. At least, I feel like I do. And that, to me, is not a driving, motivating factor sufficient enough to motivate me to want to continue playing. And so ultimately, those are the reasons why I didn't finish First Berserker Khazan. Again, I think it's a great game. I think the combat's fantastic. The sound design is literally better than Dark Souls. It's amazing. The music is fantastic. The environments and spectacles are obscenely gorgeous. But for me, the story is not good enough. The motivation to continue is not good enough. And the level design, the linear portions, the hub world is not compelling enough to drive me to want to play more than what I've already played. So that's ultimately kind of where I stand. If you agree, let me know in the comments. And if you find that there are things you do disagree with, I would also be interested to kind of hear your rationale for why you chose to finish this game. And ultimately, that's kind of where I stand with this game. This is kind of a new series, a new style I'm trying out. I felt like a lot of the other reviews of games and things like that that I would see on YouTube were always like very flashy and cutty, and I don't know, like a lot of like random blurry stuff that I just didn't enjoy. I enjoy this kind of sit down, stream of consciousness, thought stuff. So, let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to get your feedback so I can make better videos in the future. But ultimately, this is kind of my reasons as to why I did not choose to finish First Berserker Khazan. So thank you guys so much. Sir Moonlad is going out. All right. Peace.